Welcome back everyone to Planet Coaster 2 and the Hanseatic Dreamland. It is already episode number 4. I'm Rudi and this may be the last video before I hit 100k subscribers. So, gonna be a special one, I guess. In today's episode, we are going to build a lot of the main entrance plaza. It's gonna be very, very cool because we built a couple of very iconic Hamburg style buildings. We're going to have a tower, we're going to have a flat ride and a power train as well that goes through here. But before, a big thanks to the sponsor of the channel. It is Instant Gaming, and in case you don't know, you get very good discount keys over there. Yes, it is a fully legal and working service. They have good customer support and you can get the keys just how you want. You can type in any game you want to, you can have discounts, you can have your money for your different platforms, you can have DLCs, whatever. Find whatever you want over there and you do help me directly and you get a game for a good discount. So, well, I guess it's a win-win. But anyways, let's go back to the video because we have a lot to talk about. Today's video, again, is really setting the scene for the main entrance plaza. And while we are building a tower that is inspired by an old kind of storage tower in the harbor area of Hamburg, it is also going to be at the same time a house that is a bit of a, combination of two things I was looking into. So the first thing was, as I said, like a kind of an old warehouse build, but the other one is inspired by one of the main iconic buildings in the Speicherstadt, and both together will kind of create this near miss element for the main coaster that we have going over the sea. Now, the reason why I made this over here, and this was planned for the whole time, is that I wanted to kind of bring this bit together and also to make sure that the entrance area of the park has the harbor feeling at the end of the day. Also, you've seen the picture of how it should be looking like at the end, so at the beginning already as like a little bit of a forecast how this should look. Because I felt like this is now a good thing to give you a bit of a better idea what we are doing in the time-lapse. I know that a couple of people are a bit confused by these time-lapse, and this is why I did try to make them a bit different this time around. So, we are setting the scene for the tower, and what I'm doing is I'm building around the central pillar. The reason for that is relatively obvious because now you can select everything and copy it around this central pillar. This will ensure that it has the exact perfect location on the opposite side. Once you've done this 4 times, you can then copy around the whole tower to give it this perfect round element. The same thing applies to the roof that I did a couple minutes later. I did actually use one of the footers for, I don't even know what exactly that piece is. I think that was one of the footers for the support things or so. Anyways, but this is this piece kind of looked kind of cool from its lower, like the bottom part texture was really giving me exactly the type of glossiness that I wanted to. And then I felt like I'm going to use this structural pillar here as a pointy bit to the top. Usually this tower doesn't have a pointy bit, but as I said, I was mixing some of these things together. I gave it a bit more of a spire look. I really like this, looks really a bit better. And these aquatic pieces also do a good job for having a bit of a chrome, almost like tin kind of thing. I don't know, just something along the lines. I really like how this tower itself turned out, and it won't get too many, like, windows and so on. The windows and the detail will be on the main building, as you can see over here. The main building will also house some facilities. It's gonna house a couple of shops and a restroom, because we do need a restroom in the entrance area. And the tower itself, I thought, could be a very good point where we have some, electricity stuff in and just some backstage stuff. I will hide a little door into it later on, but just for the sake of being here, this one is meant to be an element that, can be used for all kinds of backstage storage stuff. That's the idea mainly. And also we will need this as a bit of a support structure, because in here there will be a couple of things that will be connected to the coaster. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that turned out. I'm really happy because this whole thing just looks exactly how I envisioned this. And we do have a lack of suitable brick pieces, I must say, but I think I have found a palette of pieces now that do a good enough job of mimicking it. I'm very curious to see what we can improve in the future once we have better pieces from upcoming DLCs or so. So I tried my best to make some very good window designs over here that suit the kind of Hamburg, look, the Hanseatic look, I should say. It's not only Hamburg. You could also go to like the likes of Lübeck or so, or Kiel, which also would be reminiscent of this area. But as this is located in Hamburg on a big old harbor area, or maybe it's even not old. It could also be something, the investor could have just way too much money and buy a whole area of the harbor. Who knows? But that shall not be our problem for the moment. The storytelling will continue ongoingly. But also the second part of this idea for the main area here is to set the scene as more of a realistic area. So the idea was really to say, you know what, this area over here is completely built into a setting that already exists. Now also we needed to do a custom roof, as always. So what I'm doing over here, for those of you who are new to building in this game, and we have a lot of new people on the channel, you do not know what I'm doing in the past. So in these Planet games you can obviously have the in-game pieces and use them as they're supposed to be used, or you just use them as a guidance, as I do over here, and build your own custom roof. I did find the angle of these roof types very good already. The only reason I did my own one is because I didn't like the texture and I didn't like the type of the roof itself, so I went for an own one and I used these metal pieces to create my own roof. Obviously it's always a lot of work to just align the pieces nicely so it's looking clean, but eventually I'll end up having a good way of doing it, and the roof looks really cool from down below. Now, this building you're looking at is, at least in my imagination, the only building that has been built for the park itself on the entrance plaza. The other two buildings, the one which is our main gate, the main entrance that we've done in the last episode, and the building we are going to start in a couple of minutes, those two buildings have been here already in the past. So this whole project is a mixture of existing buildings and buildings that have been built intentionally and just for the sake of the theme park, and this is why this house over here can also have this coaster interaction. I imagine that the tower has been there already in the past. The tower is an element that was used as a storage or kind of other has had another function, but this building has then been put in front of it to house the coaster, to house the facilities, and to just complement the whole back of the park. The other building, obviously the station for the coaster, as we've talked about, obviously has also been built, and the whole lake has been put in place here. So I will make an episode in the future. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments, but I will make a video in the future where we're going to talk about the story specifically, and we're going to really define what is what. Okay, last bits here is a bit of foliage work, just to make this kind of coaster interaction over here a bit more nicer, make some security fencings in so people can't go in, and just make the coaster go through here a bit nicer. I will have to adjust also the shaping of our coaster a bit. I will fix a couple of little things, so I will eventually have to raise this piece a little bit more because it's not quite nice, and I may have to relocate the braking a little bit. But then we move on to the next one. So we have already placed this flat ride in the last episode. This is the kickflip, but it's going to be called the coal dipper, or however we want to call this exactly. But the idea about this thing is I thought the kickflip looks like these typical big kind of industrial shovel kind of things, which I use to, shove, is that the right word? To get the coal out of the ships, for example, and bring them into the storages. So I thought that would be a really cool idea to use this house, which in my imagination has been one of the big storages for coal in the past, and now we are turning this into the queue house for this kickflip ride, and for a bit of a different facility house as well. And so I'm building this house as a house that has already been existing here. So that was my talk I was already doing in the past quite a lot more often. We have houses that already existed, and we have houses that we put in. Talked a lot about this now. And here is the same technique I'm using throughout the park. I'm building one design, and I built this on a 4-meter set piece. I'm using the grid piece to set myself a theme, or like a one blueprint, I was almost saying. And then I'm going to use this to build the design I'm liking. And once I have the design, I will copy that over and make use of the grid to be more efficient. I promise to make a tutorial on that. People have been asking me a lot. There is this mega tutorial, which I do cover this already in at least a little bit, but I will also make a full tutorial. Yeah, as you can see now, everything copied around is then also giving me this layout over here. So what I did is also I used the same thing, copied that over, and I just fixed the edges by using a couple of things. Sometimes you have a bit of an edge, how's it called again, the texture fighting on the edges. So what I used to do then is I'm going to click on the pieces that do have the texture fighting. I will then select them all, split them from the group, and just move them a tiny fraction, like a centimeter or so, so that they just stop fighting. After that, I moved on to make the big tower build of here. This is again inspired one by the Hamburg Lotsenhaus. This is the one I was using as a reference in case you want to have a look in that one. This is the Lotsenhaus. Seemannshöft, how it's called, and it's not going to be the same obviously, but I was inspired by this to use the tower of it because I found this tower looking very prominent and reminiscent of the area, so I thought, you know what, just gonna plop this in here. So I didn't want to make, and this is fully intentional, I didn't want to make this a one-by-one copy. I have some Google Maps images that I used to use this as the main inspiration to which part of the harbor this could be located. And again, if you want to have a look into that one, this is somewhere near the Petroleumhafen, it's called, where there is an expansion. It's called Waltershof. This is kind of the area I'm basing it off, but just as an idea, and I'm mixing obviously a lot of other things in here. And then you can see I'm using the tower to also connect this a bit more to the flat ride. It's going to be a little bit of a hassle to see where the people are moving so that they're not clipping too much through the walls, although the lighting here is absurdly nice, by the way. I've just enjoyed being in the house and doing certain things because the lighting is just so chef kiss. And I was using then my already existing style here of the K to, or the key. Is that the K or the key? I always forget about how this is called in English. I think it's key. I mean, it's also called Miami key, whatever. So yeah, I was doing this. And then I'm putting in a couple of more details to the tower to make it really look nice in the end. And yeah, it does really look nice. I just figured from the speed build that I have to realign the top railing. That was off. Anyways, last but not least, I was putting the queue in because the queue obviously needed to go somewhere, and this house is just a perfect location for that. I'm still debating with myself what I'm doing with the second floor because there's still a second floor in here. I may actually turn this into an accessible area even for the guest. I have an idea about this, but I'll be looking into that in the next episode potentially. And I also wanted to have like a little bit of a shop in front of here, which is going to be just like a shop front that is very versatile. You could switch out what kind of goods you give out over here. I think that was a sheaf beef and a latte love. But the main idea is just to have some elements for the guests here to interact with on the main plaza. And I'm a little bit sad that we don't have many more of these things available. I would love to have more of these things like ATMs and Vista points, and also maybe some kind of souvenir things, and maybe even the lockers. We will also put some lockers in. This, by the way, is the idea I want to put potentially on the second floor, and also like have something for strollers and wheelchairs, which I'm working on these designs. I'm working on these designs for a long time now, but I'm still not happy. This is something I'm really, sorry, coughing and laughing at the same time is not a good idea, in case you ever wondered. Now, putting in a couple of details, just for you as a nice idea to think about. Whenever you build these areas, think about how you can cover these things up to make it look nicer. So what I really love in this game is that you can have this wonderful, very simple bench here, and then you put you just put some stones or so on top of it, and people will then sit on the benches, but it looks like as if they're sitting properly on this wall, which is a more realistic behavior anyway. So that was a bit of an interaction I have over here. At the moment, I'm using this lantern design at the entrance. I just quite like this aquatic lantern, to be honest, because it fits very well with this region. But we will put some more elements of interest in here, fixing also a bit of the texture on the ground, which is all not final, okay? We still will be evolving in here and making this entrance plaza look more and more nice. This is a completely different approach to my projects. Normally I go from, area to area, and I'm done at some point. But this time around, we will be evolving this project the whole time. We will be going from step to step, and also a little bit of a bug I found over here. It's not even a bug though, but I really would love that the game allows to put supports on pathway, and the supports then will have barrier functions, because at the moment they don't have. I did put this train in because I just wanted to have more interaction in this area, and I'm very, very happy with this design. But yeah, you'll see more about this now in the real-time part. I really enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully you guys did too. And now I hand you over to the real-time Rudi to enjoy how this park looks from first person. Alright, we are back at the entrance of our wonderful park, and if we go in now, oops, we are going very fast right now, you can see that a whole lot has changed. I mean, you've seen that in the time lapse, but for those of you who are the skippity skip real-time part people, you know, here we are in the real-time part, and as you can tell, the whole entrance plaza has changed. Everything screams now a lot more like, you know, Harbor and Hamburg, and just like really how I wanted it to have. There are a couple of things I really want to have in this region, like it's still a bit more plain here in the center. We need some more planters and stuff, but as you know, at the moment we don't have any working barriers or anything like that, so I'm a little bit hesitant to put too much in. As soon as we have, I'll be putting a lot more in here in the middle. I want to have like a popcorn offer machine and stuff like that. Would be very fun to have these tiny little, you know, elements that make it all look even more finished and realistic. But I can only tell, like, oh, look at that, the coaster is just coming over here. Next episode, by the way, will be a lot about rides and coasters. Like this episode we did build a lot, and the next episode will be a lot of fun about rides, different type of rides and different types of things I want to do with those. And you can see over here the coaster passing by. Still haven't adjusted the pacing, but look at that now going through this house. Ah, that is so cool, giving this extra bit of realism here and extra bit of fun, you know. Now you can really tell how the coaster starts to be embedded in this whole thing. We do have this flat ride over here that I should definitely open, by the way. Let me just quickly do this, because I haven't so far opened this one. So let's just quickly do this. The kickflip one, we're gonna call this thing the coal digger, because that's what it is designed after. You know, the idea is, and I will do this eventually, we don't have it yet, but we are going to put a coal ship, like a fake coal ship over here as the idea that it is going to, you know, support. The idea is that this is kind of a coal, or like a, you know, warehouse where coal, for example, has been stored, you know, and this thing is kind of the digger that just kind of took the stuff out of the ship, so to have a bit of a storytelling element in here too. I'm a big fan of this idea. And as you can see over here, we also have a lovely track going on for this little people mover, or little powered train that goes around here. The station is all the way in the back there. There you can see it. It's going to be integrated in this whole thing next episode. So that's, oh my god, look at that. A full coaster. Haven't had that in a while. Look at that. Let's follow this around. Oh, I just love that. I could do this forever. This is just so good. I need to adjust the pacing, then it's going to look even better. But yeah, you can see that the whole entrance area now looks so much better. I love this building, man. This is just, it's just so good. It's just so good. Maybe this is going to be the thumbnail of today's episode, by the way. Just like kind of trying to focus on this region here anyways, like with the building here, and then if we go a bit further into the back, oh, look at that. It's all coming together now. I'm a huge fan of this. This is just really, really ridiculously nice with all these elements here and the kind of these cranes in the background. It's really screaming harbor vibes to me. And this is exactly what I wanted to achieve. This is exactly the vibe I wanted to go for. And I am beyond excited how cool that can look in this game. Also, we do have obviously our queue line, as you've seen in the time lapse in here. So if we go in, this is the queue area, which I need to finish. It's a little bit of a shame that we don't have actual windows, so potentially I'm going to make these backdrops over here again with these water pieces to at least have a decent light coming in, because as of now there is obviously no light. Gosh, this exposure is so cool once we have that at the beginning. And there's a coal, oh look at that, this is so cool with the coal digger having over here, the kickflip thingy. That just looks so freaking sick. It's so good. That is so good. It's exactly the level of realism versus like the bit of a storytelling element I wanted to have. This is just so much exactly what I wanted to have. Like, I can't. Let's jump out of this camera real quick and have a little overview of what we have done so far, because the park is growing and getting better and better each time. So we are almost done with the left-hand side, which I'm a big fan of. I mean, almost done is a little bit of an exaggeration, but we are in a good way. or on a good way to make this work. This is the people mover kind of thing, the powertrain over here that's going to be receiving some love in the next episode. And also this big building will finally fulfill its duty, as well as getting some more warehouses in. At the moment we only have like 2-ish warehouse designs. I'm gonna make a couple more. They will be a lot more detailed as soon as they interact with our series. The thing is, you know, I need to save some pieces here and there, so that's why these buildings are not awfully detailed. You know, they're just like very simple, bare bones, just keeping them open to have a bit of light, spare light in. But as soon as we have interaction with them, which this building will receive in the next episode, just flying in real quick, they will be receiving exactly the love and care this building has over here. Just gotta fix this little gap over here anyways. But yeah, well, this is it for today's episode. You can be very excited for the next one, because there's a lot more happening, a lot more rides will be placed in. We will have to first look at some proper guest flow, because at the moment you can see not that many people are in the park, which is down to the fact that this coaster is the only real people magnet we have. But in the next episode, trust me, there's going to be a huge change in terms of how this park will flow and work. Also because I need to test this. I want this park to be really realistic, also in terms of how people move. I desperately hope that Frontier is going to fix the situation with the barriers and curbs, because you can do a lot with deleting path here and there. You can see I also did delete these areas, but they still do kind of glitch in here every now and then, so I need to be very careful with this. But people have a very odd way of using path, as you can see over here. They're just like, I'm not sure what exactly and why they're doing this. There's like this just tiny chance to go out here, and they still do it for whatever odd reason. So I have to again fix this, despite the fact there should not really be. Yeah, there's this tiny edge where they can go. Despite having a barrier in here. It's a bit of an odd one. I really want to make sure that this is not going to happen and they use the entrance to exit the whole park as well. But yeah, we'll fix that. Anyhow, that's it for today. And as you can tell by my sub counter, we are almost at 100k. There are just a couple hundred missing. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, or the algorithm has unsubscribed you actively, please consider subscribing. Maybe we can do it today. So if every single one of you watching this video today who isn't subscribed will subscribe, we will get the 100k today. That would be so awesome. And I'm giving away one copy of Planet Coaster 2 for Steam when I hit 100k. So make sure to do that. I'm gonna give this away in my on my channel, on my Discord. I'll let you know exactly where. But make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to have a chance on this. So, I talk to you in the next one. Thank you so much as always, and goodbye.